Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we're doing something really practical. We're taking clinical psychologist Dr. Julie Smith's phenomenal book, Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before, and translating her clinical techniques straight into a list of everyday habits for your mental health. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the whole concept of mental wellness, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the exact tools you can use to build resilience, literally step by step, day by day. To kick things off, we've kind of got to dismantle a huge misconception. Seriously, what if everything you thought about mental health was just wrong? So many of us are walking around under this illusion that having good mental health means having absolutely zero problems. Like, we think it means being happy 24/7, like some sort of overly caffeinated robot. But Dr. Smith's work shows us that is a total myth. Real mental health, it's actually about building manageable daily routines. It's all about how you respond to life's inevitable chaos, not how you avoid it. All right, so here is our agenda for today. Think of this as your ultimate daily habit playbook. We'll start with 1, the myth of perfect mental health. Then 2, health foundation, small physical habits. 3 is our mental habit, managing negative thoughts. 4, the coping habit, breathing and presence. And finally, 5, the most important habit, self-compassion. Let's get into it.
So, starting with section 1, the myth of perfect mental health and why bad feelings are actually a totally normal part of life. You know, society constantly bombards us with this message that we should just always be happy. The myth we're sold is that the ultimate goal of life is to completely eliminate bad feelings. But the reality, the actual clinical truth here, is that our goal is simply to manage and respond to them. Feelings like sadness, immense stress, fear, loneliness, self-doubt, they're completely natural. They're just an unavoidable part of being human. You can't control that initial wave of a negative emotion, but you absolutely can control the daily habits you use to process it. And that brings us to this core truth right here. Mental health does not mean having zero problems. It means learning how to respond to them in a healthy, conscious way. Dr. Smith really emphasizes that rejection, failure, and just brutally hard days, they're going to happen. True strength isn't about running away from that pain or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about accepting it, leaning on your healthy routines, and honestly, just continuing on your path anyway. Moving right along to section 2, health foundation, small physical habits. This is all about building a calm mind from the ground up. It is so incredibly easy to think of mental health as something happening entirely in your head, completely disconnected from your body. But listen, you cannot outthink a biological deficit. You really have to treat this physical checklist as a set of non-negotiable daily habits. We're talking about getting enough sleep, moving your body, eating well, actually practicing self-care, and connecting with other people. These are not just nice-to-haves, right? These are the fundamental physical building blocks that physically prime your brain for peace. If you skip these, you're basically trying to build a resilient mind on a foundation of sand.
All right, section 3, mental habit, managing negative thoughts. Time to start challenging your own mind.
Building on that physical readiness we just talked about, we have to tackle our cognition. Why? Because our minds have this really tricky habit of distorting reality. Which brings us to a massively important daily habit to remember. Thoughts are not facts. Seriously, just because a thought pops into your head does not make it the absolute truth. When we're tired or stressed, our brains naturally just feed us these crazy worst-case scenarios and hypercritical assessments. So you've got to make it an active daily habit to just pause and ask yourself, wait, is this a proven fact? Or is my mind just distorting reality right now? On to section 4, coping habit, breathing and presence. How to de-escalate anxiety right in the moment.
Okay, so when a crisis hits or anxiety just suddenly floods your system out of nowhere, it is so easy to spiral, right? You start obsessing over future worries. To stop that spiral dead in its tracks, you need a highly effective 3-step emergency brake. Step 1, notice the anxiety without judgment. Seriously, don't get mad at yourself for feeling anxious. Just acknowledge it's there. Step 2, focus intensely on your breathing to anchor yourself in the present moment. And step 3, shift your focus strictly to the things that are under your direct control. Make these 3 steps a daily habit whenever anxiety tries to hijack your day. And finally, section 5, the most important habit, self-compassion. This is all about treating yourself like a friend. I know the term self-compassion can sound a bit abstract, maybe a little fluffy, but it's actually a vital, incredibly tangible daily practice that completely shifts how you recover from setbacks. For a lot of us, our default mode is to just punish and blame ourselves for every single little mistake. It's exhausting,
And honestly, it completely destroys your resilience over time. Instead, we need to cultivate the habit of deliberately treating ourselves like a close friend. Try speaking to yourself with the exact same warmth, forgiveness, and empathy that you'd offer your absolute best friend if they were standing in your shoes. So let's bring it all together into your ultimate daily habit playbook, taking Dr. Smith's techniques and turning them into actionable daily steps. First, prime your body physically with sleep and movement. Second, challenge those negative thoughts, because remember, they aren't facts. Third, anchor yourself with breathing whenever anxiety hits. Fourth, focus exclusively on what you can actually control. And fifth, practice active, daily self-kindness. By adopting these small, consistent changes into your everyday routines, you'll stop running from the pain and you'll start actively building a calmer, healthier, and way more resilient life.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one pivotal question to carry into the rest of your day. As Dr. Smith reminds us, you just can't always control the events of your life. You can't control what happens today, but what habit will you use to respond to it? Take a second to really think about that. The power is entirely in your response. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly valuable framework. And hey, I challenge you to put at least one of these daily habits into practice right now. Catch you next time.